All right, looks like we are live here. Let's wait for some people to join in for the show here. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As well, kind of waiting for people to get on here now, but let me copy the link. Let me go share this around everywhere and get everybody in here for the RTI Post-Game Show. All right, got a few people coming in here, so thank you all for tuning in already. To the RTI Post-Game Show, if this is your first time watching it, thank you so much. If it's your second, third, fourth time watching, thank you so much for that as well. I'm Nathaniel Rutherford, managing editor of RockyTopInsider.com. I'll probably come back and say that here again in a few seconds when we have some more people on the show. But thank you all for tuning in. This is going to be a fun one tonight. All right, getting everything all set up here. Tennessee comes out tonight. Despite what the offensive numbers are going to look like in this game, it wasn't pretty, I guess, necessarily. But I won't talk about. I'll talk about JG and stuff here in a second because oh my goodness, that kid! What an incredible game by him. All right. Well, if you guys are watching this on the recording, hopefully you've kind of fast forwarded a little bit and gotten to this point here. But thank you all for tuning in to the RTI Post-Game Show. I got the links posted on Facebook and Twitter and stuff now, so it should be all good to go here. Should be getting some people rolling in here some more. But I am Nathaniel Rutherford, the managing editor of RockyTopInsider.com. Thank you all for tuning in to the Post-Game Show here. Tennessee goes up to Missouri and gets a 24-20 victory over the Tigers. Thank you who have liked the video. Like this video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. But Tennessee goes up and gets a huge victory against Missouri in a game where a lot of things didn't go Tennessee's way in this game. A lot was their own fault. You had two blocked punts, or not blocked punts, you had two blocked field goals that Missouri did a good job of blocking them. But Tennessee had two of their field goals blocked. Tennessee had multiple costly penalties. You had a late hit penalty on Sean Schamberger. You had an offsides penalty on Dana Batuli. You had there was two false starts on offense, and then there was a hold that wasn't really a hold, but they did get called for that. You had some really poor clock management by Jeremy Pruitt in parts of the game as well. Fumble by Tim Jordan. You had an awful a fair catch call that was kind of botched by Tim Jordan. Despite all of that, Tennessee is able to not only get a victory, but get a victory in a game where I thought it was weird, but get a victory in a game where they were not favored to win. They were the underdogs in this game, and road underdogs against Missouri. Tennessee comes out and gets a victory. If you all have any comment stuff you want to leave in here, please do leave some comments in the chat. Sports Highlights 123 said so proud of JG. It's my QB. What does up goes Vols, and great game for JG. Let's talk about Jarrett Guarantano right now, right off the bat here. 415 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. It is the 4th most passing yards in a single game in Tennessee history. The only players that have passed for more yards in a game in Tennessee history are Peyton Manning and Tyler Bray. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks who've thrown for more yards in a single game than JG did in this game. And I give him obviously a lot of credit for that. He made some very good throws. I mean, he made some on-the-money throws in this game. But I really give a huge chunk of credit to Tennessee's wideouts in this game. They made some of the most jaw-dropping, just eye-popping, breathtaking catches I've seen in one game. Some receivers will make really big catches, in a game in and game out and things like that. You'll have 1 or 2 really cool ones, really good ones in a game. Tennessee's receivers, all 3 of them Callaway, Jennings, and Palmer, all three of the main guys, they all three made some incredible catches. Like they're like five in this game that my mouth just kind of went, wow. Just they were incredible. Callaway had a really good touchdown grab where they called the Missouri defender for pass interference, and he still caught the ball. Palmer had two on back-to-back catches where I don't remember what drive that was. I can't remember what drive that was now, but he had one where he caught on the sideline. That was a really good catch. And he had one where he was in the middle of the air, caught it, got upended, and landed hard on his back and still held on to it. Jennings had a really hard catch, and then he made another one for a touchdown. Obviously, it was a good catch and run. There were just so many huge plays by Tennessee's receivers. Jennings, Palmer, and Callaway all finished with 100 plus receiving yards. That is the first time in school history that Tennessee's had three 100-yard receivers in the same season, or in the same game, excuse me. Some of the stats in this game are just, good Lord. If it wasn't for Ed Orgeron at LSU, I think Pruitt should be your SEC head coach of the year. He should finish second, in my opinion. I think Orgeron's probably going to win that award, and I think rightfully so. What he's done at LSU this year, and the hires he made the offseason and stuff to get that offense rolling, it's incredible. But Pruitt deserves, absolutely, Jeremy Pruitt deserves some votes for SEC Coach of the Year, in my opinion. Tonight, I don't know whether it was because it was Jim Chaney calling the offense again, and you had Derek Dooley there, and there's that weird Derek Dooley, Jim Chaney, just mojo all going on. But for whatever reason, Tennessee's offense tonight just exploded against Missouri. And Missouri's defense it was one of the better ones in the SEC. I know obviously the numbers were a little skewed. They haven't played a lot of great offenses, and the offenses they had played that were good, did pretty well against them. But they still statistically were a very good defense. Tennessee comes out tonight, 526 yards of offense. That is the most Tennessee's put up in a single game since they had 609 against, wouldn't you guess it, against Missouri back in 2016. That game was also bizarre. Tennessee scores 63 points in that game. Tennessee only scores 24 tonight. We'll get to more of that in a second about why that happened. But Tennessee, 526 yards of offense, 415 of it through the air, 111 on the ground. That would have been a tad bit more if not for, obviously the kneel downs at the end of the game. Tim Jordan had a costly fumble, but he ended up with 14 carries for 74 yards. Ty Chandler had 5 for 23. You had Eric Gray get involved in the game. He had 2 carries for 5 yards and a catch for 8. So, he wasn't obviously involved a ton, but you did see a little bit more of him tonight than you've seen previously for him. Obviously, the big news, as I said, on offense was Guarantano and the receivers. Tennessee averaged 7.2 yards per play tonight. That's astounding. I think it's the highest in the season. I know obviously the 526 is the highest of this season, but I think the 7.2 yards per play, also the highest of the season. 26 first downs for Tennessee, 9 of 16 on third downs for the Vols tonight. They ran 73 plays compared to 66 by Missouri. That's the first time in a while this season that Tennessee's actually run more plays than their opponent, where they've actually kind of controlled the clock a little bit. Tennessee had the ball for 31 minutes, 39 seconds. Missouri had it 28-21. So first time actually in a little bit that Tennessee's been able to control the clock and have more plays than their opponent. A lot of talk's going to be about the offense. I think obviously they deserve it. I thought Tennessee's defense, for as often as they were put in poor situations in this game, they played well. Obviously, people were looking and say, "Oh, Missouri 20 points. They'd only totaled like 13 points in the last 3 games," and that's fair. I think Tennessee's defense did make a lot of mistakes in this game, but given the fact that Missouri, the only time they really had any sort of traction on offense in this game was early on the first drive, which the scripted was a good series, a good drive by Derek Dooley in the offense in their first possession of the game. They did have another touchdown possession where it was 9 plays, 75 yards, but especially in the second half, the only time they really got anything going was when they got the ball off of the field goal block and the fumble. When they blocked the field goal, they got the ball back at the Tennessee. Let's see, it doesn't tell right where they got the ball back. I think Tennessee 40 something maybe, but they maybe they're on 40, I don't know, but they ended up going 8 plays, 55 yards, and got a touchdown to cut the lead, or they may have tied at that point. Whatever, that was in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, Tennessee fumbled it, gave the ball to Missouri with a really good field position. They got a field goal, but that really should have and could have been more than what it was. They got gifted yardage on that play the drive because the Sean Schemberger late hit. You had Clay Bryant get like a 20-something yard 20-something yard throw to Cam Scott, and then he ran for 11 yards on the next play, and they were in the red zone just like that. But then if there's a team that has a worse red zone offense in the SEC than Tennessee, it's Missouri, and they showed it tonight. They could not. They had trouble converting to get touchdowns in the red zone tonight, just like Tennessee struggled to do that all year too. Missouri struggled to do that in the last 3 or 4 weeks. But aside from the 2 drives in the second half that were helped by the offense or helped by Missouri's defense and special teams, when Missouri had to rely on their own, to kind of create their own luck and to do their own thing on offense, I like to call it the Derek Dooley effect. Their first possession in the second half, 3 and out. Next one, they blocked the field goal and got a touchdown. Next one, 5 plays, 13 yards, punt. Next possession, 3 and out, they lost 2 yards. Next possession, they take over after the fumble, and then they go score a field goal on 9 plays, 57 yards. Their last possession of the second half in the fourth quarter, 3 plays, 5 yards, 3 and out, and they punted. Tennessee's defense, I thought, did a great job in the second half when, given, like I said, less than ideal circumstances when they had to come back out on the blocked field goal and on the fumble and everything. I thought they did a good job otherwise. You look what they did on third down especially. In this second half, Missouri totaled 116 yards of offense, only 3.9 yards per play, and they were 0 of 6 on third downs. That's some really good defensive stands by Tennessee right there. They made, and you had that really key sack by Daniel Batuli late in the game. That was huge. Henry To'oTo'o had an incredible tackle for loss as well. The defense played a lot better. I think that people will probably give them credit for. All right, let's get to some of these comments here before I go on here because y'all have left a lot of comments here in the chat. Let's see. Tennessee Take says, I hope there's a good crowd next week to send off the seniors. I agree. I hope there is too. Legend Jarrett says Palmer's going to be a go-to receiver next year. Palmer, if he can get it all together, he's come on strong here at the end of the season. I'm very intrigued to see him next year, and especially with the positive news we've been hearing about D'Angelo Gibbs as a scout team receiver, and Ramel Keaton's looked decent times this year as a true freshman, and just flashes what he's shown. And Cedric Tillman has shown some promise. I think Tennessee's receivers next year, they should be, I think, still be pretty good. Even though you're losing Callaway and Jennings, you'll have Brandon Johnson coming back as a redshirt senior as well. I think next year Tennessee's receiving core could actually be quite a bit better than what we were all expecting at the beginning of the year. Let's see. Darrell Wilson, did anyone dig up those defensive backs Trey Smith buried? Oh boy, he absolutely just murdered a few kids. What's up, Matt and Kelly? Says Matt Kelly, so we shot ourselves in the foot more than any other team, but found a way to win the last 2 games. Yeah, I mean, Tennessee shot themselves in the foot against Missouri a lot. They also did the same thing against Kentucky, and they still managed to win both those games on the road, despite playing ugly. And especially Tennessee tonight on offense, I mean, their numbers look fantastic. Only 24 points, which for some reason seems to be the cap that Tennessee's offense can score against the SEC opponents in the last, 2-3 years. I don't think Tennessee's offense alone has scored over 24 points. I think they've scored 27, I want to say, against South Carolina. So they can't eclipse 30 points, it feels like. Since 2016, they haven't been able to score 30 points just on offense alone against an SEC team in 3 years. Anyway, Shane Whitehead, Vols did great tonight. Need to claim the penalties. Absolutely. I'll get to more of that in a second. Jordan Gauss said, anyone else see any possible mistargeting calls? The officiating tonight, the game was so weird. I don't know if it was because it was Tennessee and Derek Dooley back in the same field or whatever it was, but the game was so weird tonight with the weird decisions by Pruitt and the timeouts at the end of the half, with the weird, just the officiating and the weird penalties called and the way they had to convene and look at every single thing, it felt like, especially in the second half. The targeting call they went back and took away, but then still made Jennings come off the field afterwards. This was just a weird game, and I do genuinely believe it was because Derek Dooley and Tennessee were back on the field at the same time, and it just, for whatever reason, when Dooley's out there and Tennessee's involved, things just get crazy. I mentioned earlier the Dooley effect. The offense just kind of, when it's a close game, Dooley somehow finds a way to lose. They didn't have any kind of devastating, plays on offense in the second half that really cost them a whole lot, but they didn't do anything when they needed to, when they didn't have the defense or special teams setting them up. Got more things here. Matt and Kelly, we never get targeting calls called for us, just against us. It does feel that way. Green Blitz believes there'll be 80,000 plus against Vandy. I hope so. I hope there's 90,000 plus for Tennessee against Vanderbilt. I hope there's a huge showing, as close to a sellout as I can get for these seniors on senior day next weekend, because they absolutely deserve it. Daniel Batuli, Darrell Taylor, Juwan Jennings, Marquez Callaway, all those guys. This will probably be Trey Smith's last game in Neyland Stadium too. I would be fairly surprised if he comes back next year. Nigel Warrior, all of those guys deserve 102,000 fans to be there. I don't think you would have a sellout game. I don't think you have 100,000, but they deserve as many fans as that can show up in Neyland Stadium next weekend. Greenbloods also says our wide receivers have bailed us out game in and game out, or I guess, yeah, bailed us out game in and game out. Yes. Tennessee's receivers, I don't know why, if you're a wide receiver, you wouldn't want to come to Tennessee. I know, obviously, you look at the SEC, and I mean, Bama and LSU are giving their receivers a lot of stats and a lot of good film and stuff too. But I think if you can't go to LSU, can't go to Alabama, why would you not want to come to Tennessee? Look at what they're doing with these guys. I think Tennessee has a good core of receivers for next year too. I think the future is bright. I think with this group they have right now, obviously this is something we haven't seen before. 3 100-yard receivers in the same season, same game, never happened. But I think T. Martin, while he maybe hasn't done maybe as well on the recruiting front as people were anticipating, what he's done with this group this year of receivers as a coach, it's been outstanding. He has been a really, really good receiver coach right now for this Tennessee this season. G. White, 713, 415 yards and 2 touchdowns against a pretty good Missouri defense that played better tonight on both sides of the ball than they have in a while. Yes, I mean, they came in tonight as I think maybe the top statistical passing defense in the SEC, which I think that was a little loaded, but still, they were one of the better pass defenses statistically in the SEC, and Tennessee does that against them. It's incredible. Green Bliss thinks it'll be Gator Bowl versus Iowa. I hope not. We saw that just a few years ago. Tennessee played in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl against Iowa in 2014. I'd be fine with the Gator Bowl. I just don't want to see them play Iowa. Let them play some other Big Ten team. I just don't want to see Iowa. G. White said the same thing. Yeah, sick of Iowa. I don't want to see them again. Sports highlights 1, 2, 3. Should we start using Crouch in a beast package like AJ Johnson? They did tonight a little bit. They didn't use him in a beast package, but they used him as a running back, and he got a touchdown. He got Tennessee's only rushing touchdown of the night at the goal line, which I thought that was the play that Tennessee wanted to run against Alabama when Guarantano went rogue, and that also seems to be the turning point of this season, was after that boneheaded play, and he came out and obviously apologized to the team and everything. The next day, I believe, I think it was a Sunday he did that. It was the next day or a Monday. But that was the play they wanted to run against Alabama, and it worked perfectly against Missouri. But to me, I guess I get some more comments here in a second. Let me pull something up really quick here on the laptop. All right, let's see some more comments from you guys here. Let's see. Matt and Kelly. Yes, they do, and I'll be there. And by the way, it's just Matt, no Kelly. Oh, okay. Sorry. Well then, hello, Matt. Let's see. Let's sink the boat of the Golden Gophers. Yeah, let's play some. Let's play Minnesota. I want to see Tennessee in a matchup they haven't had before, or one that they don't have very often. I would absolutely love it if Tennessee played Michigan in a bowl game. I don't care what bowl game it is. I don't care if it's the Belk Bowl. I don't care if it's the Dirt Booty Bowl down in Birmingham. I want to see Tennessee play Michigan in a bowl game. That would be awesome to me. They've only played one time ever. Tennessee absolutely spanked that butt back in 2001 against the Wolverines. I would love to see Tennessee and Michigan. A Jeremy Pruitt, Jim Harbaugh matchup would be that'd be something. That'd be interesting to me. I'm going to pose a question on YouTube or on Twitter, and you guys can answer in the comments. If all of you coming in, I'll always answer too. But what bowl game would you want to see Tennessee in, and what matchup do you want to see them play this season, this postseason? Now, Tennessee is bowl eligible. Okay. All right. So what bowl game do you want to see the Vols in now that they're bowl eligible, what team do you want to see them play? I've already been my statement that I want to see them play Michigan, if at all possible. I think there are obviously a lot of other ones. Texas, as someone in Sports Highlights 123 says, Tennessee and Texas would be incredible. Texas is kind of dropping off a little bit here in the season, so that'd be fun. Um, Harold Denton says, how our offensive line plays next week against Candy. Yeah, they were having trouble blocking tonight, but I thought that'd be the case. Missouri has a really good run defense. They came into the game tonight with like the fifth best run defense in the SEC. They were only giving up 130 yards per game on the ground. That number will go down slightly because Tennessee only ran for 111 tonight against the Tigers. The Tigers defense was legitimately good. The way Tennessee was able to just do what they did against them through the air was astounding to me. And you also had a lot of plays, I think at least 3 times. Let me see, I'm going to pull up the numbers, but I can recall 3 times off the top of my head where Tennessee was able to draw pass interference penalties. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 times tonight that they were called and accepted. You also had the one where you had the pass interference against against the Missouri defender against Marquez Callaway in the end zone that was not accepted. So 5 times at least where Missouri was flagged for pass interference. So that was also some good decisions there by Tennessee. Just kind of throw it and let the receivers go up, make some plays. Let's see some bowl projections that you guys want to see. Tennessee versus Texas, Outback in Michigan, Tennessee versus Notre Dame. That'd be interesting too. I've seen a lot of people saying Texas. Someone say Michigan and Minnesota here, and whoever finishes 3rd or 4th in the Big 12. Tennessee versus Oklahoma State. I like that one too. I think Tennessee, if it's not going to be Texas out of the Big 12, if you're going to play a Big 12 team in a bowl game, give me Oklahoma State and give me Tennessee versus Mike Gundy, the guy who's used Tennessee to get raises, at least twice, if not 3 times in his coaching career. That'd be a very intriguing matchup to me. Tennessee versus Oklahoma State. I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. Like the idea of playing Texas in a bowl. Matt says we haven't talked about how nice it is to beat Dooley. That's a good question. That's a good point. Is he I think he's the first former Tennessee head coach that the Vols have beaten. Because obviously you have a former coach after Tennessee fired him. Lane Kiffin was at Alabama. Tennessee never beat him while he was there. Tennessee hasn't beat Butch while he's been an analyst over at Bama. And this is the second time they played Dooley. And this is to me, it's the first time in a very long time because I'm sure Tennessee went up against. I don't know if they really would have gone up against former coaches even before Fulmer, because Majors didn't coach after that, after Fulmer took over after him. I don't know. It's a good question. I can't think back, and it would be a long time before I was born that Tennessee did that. So yeah, that's a good point. It does feel good to beat Derek Dooley. How does it gonna make Georgia feel if Tennessee were to beat Texas in a bowl game? That's a good point. Oklahoma State would be good. Tennessee versus FAU. That's a good point. No one special. You are someone special for pointing that one out. FAU has got it going and rolling now. I don't think you would get FAU into a bowl game where Tennessee would play them. They would have to have been like 10-2, maybe 11-1, and got into I don't think any of the bowl games that Tennessee is going to be accepted to would be one where that you're going to have like a non-Power 5 conference team. I think it'll be Tennessee will most likely be matched up with a Big 10 or a Big 12 team. But FAU would be fun to coach against, to play against Lane Kiffin. That'd be a lot of fun. Of course, a bowl game in Memphis would be cool. Yeah, and the only way Tennessee would be going to Memphis, the Liberty Bowl, would be if they went 6-6, which would mean losing to Vanderbilt next week, which I just don't see happening. So I don't think I think the Liberty Bowl is only if Tennessee was scraping by to get into a bowl game. If they were 6-6 at the end of the season, which I guess could happen. They could lose to Vanderbilt. I just would be stunned if that happened. Coach Majors coached at Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah, that's right. He did coach at Pitt after. I forgot about he actually did go back to Pittsburgh. You're right. Thank you for that. No one special. Harold Denton says, I want Tennessee to play in the Citrus or Gator Bowls because he'll be in Jacksonville visiting his sons. Hey, I hope for your sake they do play somewhere down in Florida for you. I don't think they'll go to the Citrus. I think, to me, the Gator Bowl does seem the most likely one. I don't think they'll go to Music City. Maybe Belk. The ones they won't go to will be, they won't go to Birmingham, they won't go to Liberty, and they won't go to Shreveport. I think it's probably most likely the Gator Bowl, maybe Citrus Bowl. I think Outback and Citrus to me are the ones I'd want to see the most. I just don't think it's going to happen because I think Citrus. I'm trying to remember. They get like they'll probably end up getting like a Florida or an Auburn or someone because I think they usually get one of the like more top tier teams that usually go like 9-3, 8-4, or something like that. Um, if I remember how the bowl selection works for them, I know Sugar Bowl gets the highest ranked SEC team that's not in the playoffs. So that'll probably be the loser of the SEC championship games. So probably Georgia, LSU, one of those two teams will get into the Sugar Bowl. Then I could be wrong, but I think the Citrus Bowl gets the next one after that, or maybe is it I think it's the Capital One Bowl. It's the same thing. I think the Citrus Bowl gets the next one after the Sugar Bowl, so it's probably a Florida or a Bama or I don't know. Bama could make the playoffs. I don't know, but I don't think Tennessee would get to the Citrus Bowl this year. That could be more of a goal, I guess, maybe for next season for Tennessee. But if you went out, you're going to a better bowl. Peach Bowl. Ooh, I can't. I don't have all. It's been a while since I've had to worry about bowl implications for Tennessee that I don't have it in the top of my head right now of all the bowl scenarios. So I apologize for that. It's been a couple years since I've had to worry about that for Tennessee. So I apologize for not having that fresh in my memory, but I'll see if I can pull it up here for the SEC bowl tie-ins. See sports highlights 1, 2, 3. A little off topic, but if we use Jalen Hyatt to his full potential, he's going to be a superstar. Yes, Jalen Hyatt is going to light up the stat sheet for Tennessee. He's an astounding player. I think Jalen Hyatt is incredible. All right, let's look at the SEC bowl tie-ins because y'all have made me wonder about this now. Okay, here we go. The college football playoff bowls, you have Fiesta and Peach Bowl. Those are the two semifinals for this year. You have Cotton, Orange, Sugar Rolls, and the national championship game. So the contract bowls are the Sugar Bowl for Tennessee, for the SEC versus Big 12, when the Sugar is not a semifinal game. So this year, the Sugar Bowl is not a semifinal game. So that would be the first one. Like I said, whoever doesn't make it to the college football playoff, the next highest rated SEC team that is not in the college football playoff, they will go to the Sugar Bowl. Orange is ACC versus the highest ranked SEC/Big Ten non-champion or Notre Dame when the Orange Bowl is not a semifinal game. So this year, the Orange Bowl could get an SEC team. So if an SEC team is ranked higher than the next qualifying Big Ten team, then that'll be an SEC school. If not, it'll be a Big Ten school. So the Orange Bowl will be interesting this year to see how that plays out because this year, the Fiesta and Peach are semifinal games. So you'll have the Sugar and potentially the Orange that will take SEC teams. The instant access bowls for Tennessee are Cotton, Fiesta, and Peach, but obviously Fiesta and Peach are the semifinal games this year, so Cotton Bowl is the only main one. So to get to all of that, I think Cotton Bowl, I don't think Tennessee gets the Cotton Bowl. Here is the pool of 6 bowls. So after the Citrus Bowl selects a team, there will be a pool of 6 in the conferences. So let's see, the Cotton Bowl is filled by the CFB selection committee, I think. Yeah, it looks like because it's a New Year's 6 bowl. So it doesn't tell what the tie-ins is for that though, which is I don't know. So I'm getting to this point here. Tennessee could maybe get into the Citrus Bowl, but I don't think that's going to happen. Actually, here it says Big Ten or ACC. So have they changed I don't know. We're doing this in real time here, so I apologize for all this conjecture if none of it makes sense. But to me, I don't think it'd be Texas Bowl. That'd be interesting, but I think probably Outback and Tax Slayer Bowl are your most likely options. I don't think Tennessee would go back to Music City Bowl since that was the last bowl they played in. Maybe the Belk Bowl and maybe the Texas Bowl, but I don't think so. Oh, like I said, the only ones I pretty much can feel like Tennessee will not be going to will be the Liberty, Birmingham, and then the Independence Bowl down in Shreveport. So we'll see. But I mean, Tennessee, if they win out, like we were all saying, they'll get a better one. Chick-fil-A Bowl versus Virginia Tech was a bad game in 2009. Yep, that was. Tennessee hasn't had a lot of luck in the Peach Bowl, but that arena or stadium, whatever you want to call it, dome has been destroyed. So and Tennessee did come out and beat Georgia Tech in the new Mercedes-Benz Dome. So Maybe Tennessee had better luck in Atlanta or down in Georgia now for bowl games. Let's see. Goal for next year is the Natty. I mean, that's goal for every year, but yeah. Oh, let's see. Kasim Hill play next year if JG stays? I don't know. That's a good question. That's another question for another day, I feel like. Bobby Taco says, I bet the Vols play the Tar Heels. That'd be interesting. Sports Highlights 123 says, I'm probably going to cry when they say Jawan and Jennings on senior day. Also a good one. Tennessee did play in this Tax Slayer Bowl a few years back. They played Iowa in the 2014 Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Who goes to the Peach Bowl in Atlanta or the I guess you're talking about the Milk Bowl in Charlotte? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, man. This is all, like I said, trying to do this in real time. I have no idea. My brain's kind of frazzled at this point. But okay, let's talk about this game. Let's go a little bit more about this game. Harold Dennett says he wants to see Corvaris Crouch running the pigskin more. I agree. He ran it once tonight, got a touchdown. They were supposed to run him on that same play against Alabama a few weeks ago, but as we know, that didn't work out. I want to talk about just Tennessee overcoming adversity in this game and talk about, like I mentioned earlier, Tennessee's 526 yards of offense, but only 24 points of offense, and why that happened in this game. I mean, you all watched it, so you probably know why it happened. But Tennessee averaged 7.2 yards per play. They're 9 of 16 on third down, 526 yards of offense, yet only 24 points. That's because you had a really bad sack that Guarantano took on one play. You had a fumble. You had two blocked field goals. You had a couple bad punts. What I thought was some poor time management by Jerry Pruitt to end the first half. Also, it didn't come back to bite Tennessee because they didn't have a good defensive stand. But I didn't like that Tennessee punted the ball when it was 4th and 1 at like the Missouri 40 something. It was in weird kind of no man's land. They were too far away to kick a field goal. You'd already had two blocked that point. It was a weird no man's land area where I thought they should have gone for it on offense. They didn't. They ended up punting it and ended up going out of the back of the end zone or bouncing to the end zone for a touchback. I thought that was a poor decision. It didn't end up coming back to go back the ball. So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and trash Jerry Pruitt for it, but there were a lot of reasons tonight there were multiple times tonight Tennessee had a chance to really just shut the door and slam the door, and they came up empty. Tennessee has 7 penalties for 60 yards tonight. Missouri had 7 for 70. Both teams got penalized a lot in this game. But Tennessee had they had that fumble. Tennessee was in, they were at the Missouri 28-yard line when Tim Jordan fumbled that ball, and that was awful. The Missouri ended up taking over at their own 28-yard line. They got it down to the UT 15 that had to kick a field goal. But that was a moment where I remember thinking you had a perfect opportunity to just go ahead and slam the door shut here to take a 2-score lead, even if it's not a touch, maybe kick a field goal there, and it didn't happen. And then yet Tennessee able still to somehow overcome all of this stuff. I mean, I was astounded by Tennessee being able to move the ball at will against Missouri's secondary. They came into this game. They got roughed around a little bit last week by Florida when they threw for 300 something yards against them. But I did not expect this. I mean, the way Missouri came into this game, giving up only 166 yards per game through the air, 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions on the season. And granted, looking at the stats, the only 2 teams in the SEC that had fewer passes attempted against them by opponents were Kentucky and Mississippi State. Missouri only had 276 pass attempts against them all season. Actually, it's tied with Tennessee for the third fewest. But so I mean, that's obviously going to skew their numbers a little bit. A lot of teams weren't passing the ball a ton against them. But you look at what they've done previously against some other teams. West Virginia, which obviously doesn't have the same offense they had last year. West Virginia only passed for 141, a touchdown, 3 picks. South Carolina, 255, a touchdown, an interception. Ole Miss, 236 and 2 touchdowns. Vandy, 165. Kentucky had them bound, don't count that. Georgia, 173 and 2 touchdowns. And then Florida, 330 for 2 touchdowns. I think part of it for Missouri's defense is that their offense has been so bad and has been just going three and out, three and out, three and out, and not doing anything and not scoring points. That it's been wearing down this defense, and I think they're just tired, man. I just think they genuinely are just tired. And Tennessee's offensive line did a great job pass blocking tonight. Didn't do the best job run blocking. That's been an issue for them all year. They've had like two good games run blocking all season, and this one they did a better job than I thought they were going to. They finished the game averaging. It's tough because they you take out those two kneel downs, they're probably closer to 4 yards a carry, but they finished with 3.5 yards per carry. Jennings never could get anything going when he was the Wildcat, but Tim Jordan, 74 yards on 14 carries. Ty Chandler, 23 yards on 5 carries. Guarantano had 11 yards on 5 carries. If you take away that 11-yard sack, that he would have 22 yards. But you had Tennessee's two top running backs about almost to go for 100 yards. SEC, do they – hold on. I'm trying to see the comment here. Yeah, so wait, Tennessee did actually lock in to number 3, and I guess they did. I guess Tennessee is locked into the 3rd in the East. Wow, that is that is incredible. Tennessee is locked into 3rd place in the SEC East. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm just letting that sink in for a little bit. After starting 1-4. Tennessee is 3rd in the SEC East. Wow. I'm just kind of dumbfounded to that. They started the season 1-4, 0-2 in SEC play. And they've lost one game since then, and that was to then number 1 Alabama. And this season's made no sense to me, but I guess in a good way now. It's been. This has been a ride, man. I don't know how to. I don't know how to vocalize what I'm feeling at this point. It's been bizarre to me. Some more bowl suggestions here. A couple people saying Michigan in the Gator Bowl, Michigan in the Gator Bowl. Florida versus in a Florida Bowl versus a slow white Big Ten team. Even Butch pounded those teams. That's a good point. I just, man, 3rd place in the SEC. That'd be Tennessee's highest finish in the SEC East since 2016 when they finished 2nd, and they should have won that year. But 3rd in the SEC East after starting the season 1-4. I'm dumbfounded, guys. I just letting that sink in is just wow. Let's see. If Tennessee plays Florida right now, different ballgame. 100% agree, Matt. I think I might have just said that, and I feel like I just repeated myself on that one. No One Special says the receivers make the difference against Missouri, not the quarterback. Yeah, I agree. I thought Guarantano played well, but Tennessee's receivers tonight were the absolute difference. I mean, they made some NFL plays tonight, and they've been making NFL plays all season. But I mean, Jennings, Callaway, and Palmer. I think all 3 of those guys will be playing in the NFL. Not all 3 next year, because I think Palmer obviously comes back for next season. But all 3 of those guys will be playing in the NFL in the next couple of years. It was incredible. Tennessee's won 5 of the last 6. They remember what you do in November. I absolutely agree on all that. Troy Lee Nugent says should be 9-3. That's an interesting topic of conversation that I want to get to this week. I don't know if I necessarily want to sit there and have it right now, but that's the topic of conversation that I think is very interesting. You look back at this season, and I think it is commendable this season. This team's fought back from the start they had. Like I said, the 1-4 start to get to 6-5 now, and most likely 7-5 next week. But if you want to go to kind of the negative side of things, I think it's fair. Tennessee should be sitting at 8 wins right now. They should be 8-3 with a chance to go 9-3. But at the same time, if Tennessee doesn't have the losses they had at the beginning of the year and they had to face the adversity they have, do they come out and do they beat the teams like South Carolina? Do they get the wins they've gotten? I think it's an interesting conversation to have. It's obviously stuff we will never know. It's obviously not going to be, we can't go and look at every scenario in a time machine or do something like that, something out of a science fiction book or movie. But I think it's an interesting conversation that I think Vol fans will be having. All postseason, all off season is Tennessee was I mean, they're a horrible loss away from Georgia State and a couple plays away in the BYU game from this season going from being a really good tale of overcoming adversity and coming back and turning things around to being a standout season of potential 9-3, maybe even 10-3 with a bowl victory, depending on who you play. I think it's an interesting conversation to have. I don't really know if I want to see, like I said, have a bunch of ifs and buts and things like that here, and I don't want to skew too negatively because I do think the resolve this team has shown has been impressive. And like I said, I don't know if they don't suffer those early season losses, maybe they don't have that same resolve and that same energy and stuff they have against South Carolina, that they have against Mississippi State, that they have against Kentucky, that they have tonight against Missouri. You know, what if they beat BYU and Georgia State, but then they lose another game that way they haven't lost right at this point? Maybe they lose to Mississippi State. I don't think they do, but you never know. I mean, never thought they'd lose to Georgia State. Never thought they'd lose in the way they did to BYU, and yet they did. So there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts to play out there. I'm looking more at it as a positive of 6-5, and but I get anyone who would say, well, dang man, Tennessee should be 8-3 right now, and I don't think you could say anything any better than that, honestly. But I get anyone who's saying, hey, Tennessee should be 8-3, but I'm choosing to look at it a little bit more of the this is still an incredible story that Tennessee fought back to get to 6-5. Troy Lee Nugent says the early losses turned us around for sure. Donald Mills says, what's up? Yes, third place. Never doubted us. I'm enjoying this, but man, how about the trajectory of this program now? Troy Lee Nugent says, again, probably not, but could have, should have, would have. It definitely turns around. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts for this season, and then just in Tennessee football in general, obviously for the last decade, but this season specifically too. G White 713 says we could not even line up right in the first two games, and we're still playing musical chairs with positions. That would get any team beat. Yeah, I mean that's a good point too. Tennessee had so many question marks at the beginning of the season. They had a whole. I mean, they were having to take 2 to 3 timeouts a game just because Tennessee could not line up on defense. I mean that's a really good point. And you also had the emergence of some of Tennessee's their upperclassmen this year that I didn't see coming. Nigel Warrior, especially, just the way he's played this year. He has turned his career around, his really kind of his legacy at Tennessee around with the way he's had his senior season this year. He's played himself into an NFL draft pick. Jennings obviously already endeared himself to fans, but he's putting together his best season of his career. Callaway's having an incredible season. Dana Batuli's having a phenomenal season. Darrell Taylor still maybe not as consistent as you would like, but he's playing the best he's played in his Tennessee career. So I think that's all good points too. Matt says, I'm rewatching the game. Henry T had a great game. Henry Toa had a phenomenal game. That kid is going to be, he should be a freshman All-American. He will probably be just a regular All-American in his junior season. I don't know if he'll get as a sophomore, but by his junior year, if he doesn't have any injuries or anything like that, Henry T is going to be an All-American for Tennessee. Vol Nation in South Carolina. Hey, Vol Nation. How you doing, bud? With such an incredible turnaround, would Pruitt be considered Coach of the Year in the SEC? I said this earlier. I don't think you're listening or watching the show at this point, but I said this earlier. I think he deserves votes for it, but with Ed Orgeron being the way LSU's turned around this year and what they're doing, I think Orgeron wins it. But I think Pruitt should finish second. If they've revealed kind of the standings of the SEC Coach of the Year voting, Pruitt deserves votes. I don't know that you would find 2 more deserving candidates than Ed Orgeron and Jeremy Pruitt. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone else who would deserve it more than those 2. I mean, this year's been kind of marred by kind of poor coaching in the SEC because Dan Mullen doesn't deserve it. And, none of the other SEC East school teams deserve it. SEC West, I mean, Nick Saban doesn't deserve it. Ed Orgeron definitely does, but I mean, no one else in the SEC West, I don't think deserves it either. Matt Luke's definitely not getting it. Joe Moorhead's definitely not getting it. So Jimbo's not getting it. So I think your 2 obvious ones are Orgeron and Pruitt, but I think Orgeron wins it out because LSU's they're having a phenomenal season. This is their best year they've, I think, probably ever had an offense, and they look destined to, I wouldn't say win national championship because I think this year's playoff will be interesting, but I think Orgeron wins it. But I think for sure Pruitt deserves votes. No One Special says 1-4, and it was an us against the world mentality. Yeah, I think that's very, very true. Sheep eating duck said Guarantano. Hold on, I skipped one here. Yeah, sheep eating duck said Tennessee get lucky. Refs are terrible. Refs were terrible. I will concede that, and there are a few calls against Missouri that I thought were ticky tack, but there are also some bad calls that didn't go Tennessee's way in this game either. The fishing was just bad on both sides. I mean, this SEC fishing just horrible every single game. And I don't think this game. I don't think the officiating hurt one team more than the other. If it did, I do think it hurt Missouri a little bit more than Tennessee. But there were some bad calls on both sides, and I don't think either fan base could blame officiating if they for losing this game. If Tennessee lost, I don't think they could blame officials. Missouri lost, I don't think they can blame officials for it either. Ethan Robbins says, regardless, the big picture is that Tennessee had to get to a bowl game, and they did, and likely 7-5 with a potential 8-5 and the extra practices. That is a good point, Ethan. The extra practices Tennessee is about to get, the 15 extra bowl game prep practices that Tennessee's going to get, that is humongous for this team with the amount of young guys you have on this roster that you can get them extra reps. There's a chance to, in the bowl game, get guys like, Roman Harrison and Quavaris Crouch, and Warren Burrell, maybe even Chris Akprogane, and Elijah Simmons. I don't know. Maybe Simmons won't play. I don't know. Just kind of be interesting to see if he plays next week against Vandy. I don't know if he played this weekend against Missouri or not. If he didn't, then he still has a red shirt intact for the bowl game. But the point is, the practices are going to be great to get those guys some more reps and more practices, but also to maybe have a chance to play in a bowl game to get some more game reps. I mean, that is huge, Ethan. That is a very good point. The extra practices are going to be huge for this team. The bowl game versus Miami or Florida State. I've seen a few people throw Florida State in there. I think the Florida State Tennessee bowl game would be oh man, you'll talk about Vol Twitter and FSU Twitter. Oh God. Whew. Sheep eating duck says Guarantano is obviously on PEDs. Yeah, Tennessee's been cheating for years. I'm trying to remember if sheep eating duck is the guy who came in last live show and was a troll on purpose. I can't remember now, but Donna Mills asked if I think recruiting will start to pick up. I'll be interested to see what happens with recruiting for Tennessee. I thought it was already going to pick up anyway. Tennessee's going to have this next weekend, their last regular season game, the last home game of the season against Vanderbilt. It's going to be a huge weekend as far as recruiting visitors and guys are going to be in here. And sheep eating duck, I thought that was you who came in the last time. It was fake trash talking and trolling. That was well played by you in the Kentucky game, and well played by you just now. But I think Tennessee on the radar for guys to watch for Tennessee. Not to commit immediately, but guys to keep an eye on. 4-star linebacker Lynette Whitehead, or I guess running back actually, 4-star athlete, but linebacker / running back Lynette Whitehead, 4-star linebacker Desmond Tisdall, but Vi Cajo, who we talked about on the RTI and VR2 recruiting podcast. If you want to go back and watch or listen to it here on the YouTube channel, you can. We also have regular podcasting on Apple Podcasts and Android devices too. But I think if Cajo wants to commit first, I think they'll take him over Tisdall. But those are three names to watch out for. Someone just mentioned Darnell Washington. I definitely think Tennessee is still a play for him. Tennessee's not getting as much talk from the national analysts with him as some of the other schools. But I'll be darned if I don't think Tennessee is a definite player for Darnell. I think Washington, after what they saw from tonight too. I mean, I don't. Don McQuinn Anderson only had 2 catches for 20 yards, but he made a really big catch for Tennessee that ended up being that's one that got reviewed and reversed as the first down. It was like 4th and 1 for Tennessee. I thought that they should have gone for it, but those are some names to watch out for. I know there are, obviously the instant guys, Amari Thomas and Tyler Barron. Those are ones to keep an eye on too. I don't think Reggie Grimes, but those are kind of the main names I keep an eye on. I feel like I'm forgetting someone, another 4-star kid who I'm trying to recall, and I'm struggling with it. I don't know. Thaiu Jones-Bell's a guy who's committed to Alabama, who's a receiver that Tennessee's been trying to flip that I think is going to be tough. But that's a name to keep an eye on too. But those are I do think Tennessee's going to have recruiting picking up. Yeah. Let's see. Ethan Robbins said, let's be honest, a lot of credit goes back to the recruiting with Henry T. If we didn't get him recruiting, we may not be bowling. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, if Tennessee doesn't get him, they're in a rough spot at inside linebackers. I don't think Will Ignott would transfer because I don't think obviously Henry T won't be playing ahead of him. So I think Ignott's playing, but he would still be in a rough spot at inside linebacker for your future if you didn't get Henry T. That is 100% true. Nolan Kirkpatrick said that I'd be checking our kicker for drugs before checking. I actually, Samagli got rocked in that last field goal attempt. I think I'm trying to think. Tennessee didn't. Did they score after that? No, I don't think. Let me check the game stuff here. I'm trying to remember if they scored. After that or not, because he got hurt. I'm trying to remember if he ended up coming out of the game for the rest of the game or not. Let me see. Field goal attempt blocked. Okay, the Tennessee did score after that. The last, what did they? This thing I feel like is lying to me. No, I guess they did. Yeah, they came out and scored the touchdown later on the third quarter after that second field goal block. So, and he kicked the PAT then, I believe. Let me check that really quick. Yes, it's not telling me who kicked the PATs on here. That's good. They're good. Yeah, Samagli kicked the PAT. Okay, so I think he's fine. Sorry, I got distracted by trying to figure out if Samagli came back in the game because he got hurt. Tennessee had a few guys get just. I mean, the receivers in this game. Going back to talking about the receivers being incredible. Not only did they make some really just amazing catches, all three of them just took absolute shots. I mean, I don't think Callaway took as big of shots as Jennings and Palmer did. Jennings took 2 huge hits. Palmer took at least 2, if not 3 big hits in the game. I mean, the receivers, not only are Tennessee, are they incredible at catching the ball, they are some of the toughest receivers I've ever seen. I mean, it's incredible the amount of toughness and just grit and resolve those guys have. Some more comments from you guys. Elijah Simmons played on short yardage plays. Thank you, Matt. I didn't catch on the personnel, but thank you. If you don't make a bowl game, it is a violation of practice after the season. Yes, it is, Lane. As far as I know, I think if you don't make a bowl game, you cannot practice after the season. I think it is a violation of like NCAA policy. So you could definitely get in trouble. Let's see. I was glad to see Pruitt getting into the faces of the players that do the penalties. Yes, especially the one with Sean Schamberger where he pulled his jersey, which I saw some people throwing a little fit over that, which I thought was stupid. But true, man, Ansley and Pruitt both lit into Schamberger after that late hit, as they should have, for sure. Has Washington announced his last visit yet? No, he has not. Darnell Washington has not announced his last visit yet, but I'd be shocked if Tennessee doesn't get it. Niedermeyer going to boss on the recruiting show this momentum. Yeah. Octavius Oxendine. Thank you, Sheep Eating Doug. That's another one to keep an eye on, is Octavius Oxendine. That one's going to be interesting to watch between him and Kentucky and Tennessee, but I like where Tennessee is with him. I think that's a good one. Thank you. That's one I'd forgotten. Nolan Kirkpatrick. And no, we'll be losing JJ, which is Juwan Jennings, and Callaway, but I still feel good about our wide receiver room next year. We'll have Palmer, Brandon Johnson, Gibbs, and Keaton. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, that you have those 4 as your main group. Cedric Tillman, I think, can provide some valuable snaps. Jalen Hyatt's going to come in, and I think he's going to contribute immediately. I don't know how much as a true freshman he needs to put on some weight, but he has some of the most elite speed I've ever seen. We talked about this one of the first RTI and VR2 recruiting podcasts we did back in August. Jalen Hyatt was timed running a 4.31 officially, as a 4.31 officially, and that's what they put out officially. He was also laser timed running a 4.28. I think maybe a 4.25. It was below a 4.3, and the people there said, people are not going to believe this time. We're going to time you again. And he ran a 4.31. I thought, that's still incredible. We're going to put that as the actual official number. I'm not making this up. That does sound a little weird, I know. I guarantee you, the guys at VR2 told me, I've heard it from another source. I've heard it from multiple people that's what happened. He ran a sub 4.340, but they put the official time as a 4.31. Jalen Hyatt, if you've watched his film, he's not just a straight line speed guy that is just fast and is only going to be used for 2 or 3 things. He has some really good route running ability. He has a strong route tree that, better than the vast majority of high school players that come into college. He has a really good route tree. He can leap out of the building. He has a 30-something inch vertical, like a 35 or a 36 inch vertical, I want to say. Jalen Hyatt's the real deal, man. He set multiple school records at Dutch Fork this year. He's ranked low right now, Matt. He's about to get his 4th star on Rivals, and Rivals' next update, which I think will come at the end of this month, if not the beginning of December. He's getting his 4th star on there. He already has a 4-star, his 4th star on 247, not in the composite, but as the actual 247 ratings. He has a 4th star. he's going to be a top 200 overall player, in my opinion. By the time the recruiting rankings are finalized, if not 200, he'll be top 250. But he'll be an undoubted 4-star this cycle. And maybe, as you said, Nolan, maybe because who he plays against. South Carolina, I think is a sneaky good recruiting area, but it's not the same kind of level and depth of talent as you have at a Georgia, at a Texas, at a Florida, at a California. But Jalen Hyatt, I would be stunned if Hyatt doesn't come into Tennessee and have a really good career, as long as he has a good quarterback to throw the ball to him, which with Harrison Bailey coming in, with Brian Maurer on the roster, with Kasim Hill being a wild card, I think Hyatt's going to have some good guys to throw the ball to, or have the ball thrown to him. Ethan Robbins says, is Rakeem Jarrett long gone at this point? I think so. He's committed to LSU, and we're seeing what they're doing with receivers. I mean, as great as Tennessee's had this year with their receiving trio of Jennings, Palmer, and Callaway, and with some, as good as a quarterback play has progressed this year, LSU has just been. I'm going to put up their stats. They're what they've been able to do through the year has been incredible. What's his face? Joe Burrow has just been lights out for them this season. Let me pull up their stats. Joe Burrow is 313 yards away from 4,000 passing yards. He has 38 touchdowns. He's only I think 4 or 5 touchdowns away from the single season record in the SEC. They have 2 1,000-yard receivers in Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Terrace Marshall Jr. has 400 receiving yards. Hold on, is this accurate from today's games? I feel like he has more stats than this, even. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out if this is from today's. I guess this is updated from today's games. Yeah, okay. All right, it is. So anyway, but even their third receiver, the third leading receiver, has 400 yards receiving. Their tight end Thaddeus Moss has 355 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Terrace Marshall Jr., their third leading receiver, has 8 touchdown receptions. Tennessee's leading receiver this year, Juwan Jennings, has 8 touchdown receptions. That is their third receiver. Jamar Chase has 13. Justin Jefferson has 11. So I think Rakeem Jarrett's going to stay there. Even though I don't know what their quarterback situation is like next season for LSU. I think someone has asked that on here. Joe Burrow is gone next year. Who's their quarterback? I don't know. Who the quarterback's going to be, but I think LSU's done enough to prove that Rakeem Jarrett, I'm sure, feels comfortable going. They have 3 or 4 really good receivers in their 2020 recruiting class right now too. Nolan Kirkpatrick, do I think Tennessee will take another quarterback besides Bailey this year? I'm thinking we'll lose one, maybe 2 guys will transfer, and I feel like JG and Hill both have experience, and Bailey's talent may run off. QBs. That's an interesting question. Tennessee's quarterback situation is going to be interesting to monitor. Does JG transfer? Does he declare for the NFL? I think that would be the least likely decision for him to make. I think of all the decisions he can make, I think declaring for the NFL is probably the last on the list. But does he transfer? Does he stay? That decision will also affect who else transfers and who else stays. I think one of the freshmen, Stroud or Maurer, will end up transferring. I think it's more likely to be Stroud. If you haven't been on Twitter, if you are on Twitter, you haven't been on there to check it out. Brian Maurer had a great tweet. Let me go find it. He was a very classy tweet because Brian Maurer's a good kid. But he tweeted out, let's see. About midnight, he tweeted out, "I'm so happy for JG. No matter what situation has been thrown at him this season, he has remained a team player, and there's no one else who deserves this more than he does. That's my brother forever." And they had the heart emoji, and they added Jarrett Guarantano. I think Maurer's bought in, man. I think he's a team player. I don't unless he just feels like he's not going to get playing time. I don't know that he transfers. Maurer's a great teammate, and he obviously cares a lot about JG, and I think JG's been a good teammate too. So I don't know. Tennessee's quarterback situation is going to be very interesting because Harrison Bailey's coming in. I don't know that's going to scare off a bunch of guys that come in or not, but I don't know if Tennessee will get a high-profile 2021 quarterback because of that. But look at 2022 with Ty Simpson. That kid, if Tennessee doesn't get him, something went wrong in my opinion. But that 2022 class with Ty Simpson over Martin here in the in-state, That to me, I don't know if Tennessee gets a big time 2021 quarterback, but that I think Simpson's your big target you're focusing on for another future quarterback. Well, Nation, good to see you too, buddy. Nolan Kirkpatrick says, I feel like Shrout's arm talent would be ashamed to waste, and Mauer's explosive would be ashamed to sit out. So, yeah, I mean, it would be nice for Tennessee football to have the problem of having too many good quarterbacks and not being able to play them all. That's a problem Tennessee hasn't had. Probably, God, I don't know, maybe since 2000, like mid 2000s, like Eric Ainge era, maybe, because you had, even then though, I don't think you would have had that kind of talent all at the same time. That hasn't happened maybe since the 90s when you had Manning and you had other guys who went on to be starters at other schools. It's a good point. That's to me. I can't remember the time that Tennessee's had this good of a quarterback conundrum in a while. Guys, I don't know how much longer I'll stay on here. I'm going to stay on here for at least a little bit longer because this has been fun and I'm enjoying it. This has been a lot of fun, actually. This has been one of the more fun post-game shows I've had, and I feel like I can keep going, and we've already been here for an hour. I'm going to get to Pruitt's comments later. I haven't had a chance to see what all he said. Obviously, we weren't over in Columbia, so I haven't had a chance to see what all he said, but be interesting. His post-game interview on the SEC Network was interesting and fun, and it was cool to see him. He got a little emotional, I thought, and then you had Guarantano kind of video bomb it by coming in and grabbing Pruitt, hugging him repeatedly, and saying, "We're going bowling," and then running off the screen again. That was really cool and just a good interaction to see. And I don't think I've said it enough, but thank you all tonight for tuning in and watching this and interacting. This has been the most interaction I've gotten on a live post-game show. So thank you all so much for coming in. Please leave a like on the video here. That would mean the world to me. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. That would also mean a lot to me. You guys are fantastic. Thank you all so much for leaving the comments, for interacting, for all the stuff you've done with our website, with our social media, everything. You guys are fantastic. So thank you for this. Let's see the comments from you guys. JJ sitting at 55 receptions for 886 yards and 8 touchdowns. He's got a chance to get 1,000 with a good Vandy game. If he has a good Vanderbilt game and he has a good bowl game, he's got 1,000 yards easy. I mean, heck, if he has a good Vanderbilt game, he gets 1,000 yards. That'd be Tennessee's first 1,000-yard receiver, maybe since 2012. I'm pretty sure they had a 1,000-yard receiver that year with Cordero and then Justin Hunter, but they didn't in 2016 because Malone just missed. He had like 971 yards, so Tennessee just missed having a 1,000-yard receiver that year. So I think it'd be the first one since 2012 for Tennessee if Jennings eclipses 2,000 or 1,000 yards. Now with Oregon losing, if Michigan beats Ohio State next week, would it be possible to get not 2 but 3 SEC teams if Georgia beats LSU in the I don't know, Vol Nation. That's a question I'll have to sleep on and get back to you on. I'm kind of in Tennessee mode right now. I haven't had a chance to look at all the the playoff scenarios and stuff. So, Vol Nation, that'd be a question I'll have to get back to you on after I've had some time to sleep, which who knows what that's going to be tonight. Nolan Kirkpatrick says, "True, also not used to not having to stack up on guys since we get season-ending injuries almost every year." Also a good point. Tennessee's, for the most part, avoided major injuries this season. You obviously had Emmett Gooden to start, back in fall camp. You've had some guys that nicked up and bruised and missed some time. Obviously, Danny Batuli missed the first couple weeks of the season too. But for the most part, you've not had, not that I can remember, you've not had any significant in-season injuries. Aubrey Solomon went down in the first quarter of this game, and I am a little concerned about him. And I don't think he came back in that game, so I'll be interested to hear what Aubrey Solomon will, if he can come back against Vanderbilt and for the bowl game for Tennessee. But Tennessee's done a good job of avoiding devastating season within the season injuries this season. That's been a thing that they did a good job of avoiding that last year too. The strength and conditioning staff has done a good job of that. And that's also some of that's luck too, obviously, but that was a big issue in 2016, 2017, in the last 2 years of the Butch Jones era. We're getting back to being wide receiver U again. I would hesitate to say that just because there are other schools out there with really high performing receivers, but Tennessee is getting back to the point where the receivers are having a reputation of being really good and should be NFL guys. Callaway and Jennings should both be drafted this year into the NFL. As long as Palmer can keep it up, he should be drafted next year into the NFL. I don't know. I wouldn't say wide receiver U because I think obviously other LSU and Bama would obviously argue for that, and Clemson. But Tennessee's receivers are back to the level where they're being respected and being viewed as some of the best in the SEC. So while it's not wide receiver U in my opinion, it's still a significant jump forward from where Tennessee's pass catching, the group has been over the last few years. A few more things here. Matt says JG was emotional. He sure was. That play where he completed the pass in the game there, on that third down play, him just pumping his fist and just screaming and being emotional. That was so cool to see. That kid, Guarantano, deserves all the positivity, all the praise that he's gotten over the last few weeks. This kid has fought through everything. He could have easily given up. He could have easily transferred. Jeremy Pruitt could have easily given up on him and sat him and just done away with him. But neither of those guys did that. Both of them persevered. Both of them realized that they were probably going to need each other to win games this season. And now here Tennessee is at 6-5, and it's largely because of Guarantano turning things around and playing better. Obviously, Tennessee's defense has played a lot better in that same stretch too. That's been another big reason. But football is an ultimate team sport. If not for good quarterback play, Tennessee wouldn't be in the position they're in. If not for good defensive play, they wouldn't be in the position they're in. All of it is true. Both of those things are true. Thumbs up applied. Thank you so much, G White 713. Thanks for keeping us entertained. Jordan says, thank you for commenting, Jordan. I appreciate it very much. That's why we pay our strength and conditioning coach $600,000. Yeah, Matt. Craig Fitzgerald is earning his paycheck. That's why they made such a big fight to keep him when Maryland was coming after this offseason. I think that of all the offseason moves of bringing in Jim Chaney, of bringing in T. Martin, of bringing in Derek Ainsley, and all the recruiting stuff, of all the offseason moves this offseason, I don't think it's talked about enough about how big it is that Tennessee was able to keep Craig Fitzgerald as their strength and conditioning coach. That's been a huge addition to the staff and a huge keep for Tennessee this offseason. So basketball talk here. Ooh, someone asked me a question about basketball talk. What about landing Santiago Vescovi? Thanks, Troy. I would love to see you talk more basketball, but this is a football post game, so I probably won't do that a whole lot. But Vescovi is a great pickup for Tennessee. He should be able to enroll in January for next semester and be able to come in and play immediately for Tennessee. I don't know how much he'll really contribute this year with Tennessee, but I think he's a great pickup for the future. That kid has some incredible highlights. If you haven't watched his highlight film, go to RockyTopInsider.com, click on our basketball tab up top. Find the stuff about Vescovi and watch the highlight films I have embedded into the thing I have as his commitment piece and his impact report. You guys will love it. He reminds you a lot of Ricky Rubio. Maybe if you're an older fan, kind of Pistol Pete Maravich a little bit, just the way he passes and some of the stuff he does. I'm very intrigued by him as another ball handler for this team. G White 713, Chaney trusts JG fully again. Glad to see that. I am too. That's a good point. I think Chaney obviously lost faith and lost trust in Guarantano, rightfully so. Guarantano did not earn that trust, did not earn that respect and that belief from Chaney. He has earned it again. So I think that's a good point. Before I go, Lane Pine asks, will we get a RTI and VR2 podcast this week? There is one out. If you missed it, we did one on Friday. God, this week's blow. Yeah, we did one on Friday. So if you missed it, Lane, we actually did. It was not long after Vescovi, who I just mentioned for basketball team, committed. So Matt, Ray, and I did that one. So if you want to check it, it's on here on the YouTube channel. Just check it out and the podcast playlist or on the recruiting playlist if you haven't seen it yet. Or RockyTopInsider.com. You can click on the podcast tab up top there. If you're subscribed to us in Apple Podcasts, which I suggest you do, subscribe to us in Apple Podcasts, and you should get it immediately sent to your phone or whatever device you use to listen. If you have an Android device, whatever podcaster app you use to listen to the podcast from your Android phone, we're on there as well. So Matt says, good night. We will be doing one this week. I don't know if you're asking for one this week. We will definitely be doing at least one this week. We might do two since there's such a big recruiting visitor list for Tennessee and Vanderbilt. We might be doing two for this week too. Everyone's saying good night, so I think I'm going to go too. I'm going to work on a couple other pieces before I go to bed. But Matt says good night. Ethan says good night. Kara says good night. G White, thank you. Jordan, good night. And thank you, all of you, for tuning in. Thank you for all of you who gave this video likes. Thank you for all of you who viewed this video. And y'all are awesome. I could keep going. If I'd started this a little earlier, I would still keep going probably a little bit, but I'm worn out and I still have a little bit more work to do on the site. We'll have tons of coverage for you again on Sunday. I guess technically it is Sunday now. If you're watching this, it's probably Sunday too. If you're watching the replay of it, but we'll have tons of coverage on RockyTopInsider.com for you guys to peruse through and everything. So be on the lookout for that. Some video stuff. This will probably go up there too, but some videos of Tennessee celebrating. Obviously, a lot of written content. Maybe Ben and I might do another podcasting. I'll let you know. But thank you all so much. RockyTopInsider.com is our website. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, obviously YouTube as well. Rocky Top Insider and all that. Subscribe to our channel. Follow us on all the social media sites. If you want to follow me on Twitter, if you don't already, I'm at Mr_Rutherford. You guys have been fantastic. This has been a fun night. Tennessee is going bowling again for the first time since 2016. If you're watching the replay of this, obviously feel free to leave comments and stuff of things you want to see. I can go back and look at it later too. But good night to all of you, to Jordan, to Vol Nation, to everyone else who's been on here tonight and left comments and interacted along the way. Thank you all so much. Signing off, I'm Nathaniel Rutherford. This has been another RTI Post-Game Show. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you again next week after Tennessee hopefully beats Vanderbilt.